I am a current second year acting MFA student at Northwestern University, which feels really weird to say. I feel like I just got here. I'm already in my first quarter of my second year. And now that I've finished my first official year as an acting MFA student and had some time to process everything, I think I can give a good updated review insight video of what the program actually was like. Thank you for everybody who asked about this. I'm so sorry that I stopped giving individual replies just because I've been getting so many. But I think this will answer a lot of your questions and curiosities that you've had. So here's my plan for this video. I'm gonna watch clips from the Grad Acting 7.5 Reasons I Chose Northwestern video that I uploaded last August before I officially moved to Chicago and entered the program. And I'm gonna go through all the 7.5 reasons and give you oh, this was true, or this was false, or this was kind of misleading, and see how my expectations held up to what the reality of the program actually was. And then I'll try my best to give you some insight into what I think are some strengths and weaknesses of the program in general. Okay, great. So stay tuned, and here we go. We're gonna get right into it. Number one reason, the biggest reason, the hugest deciding factor in choosing Northwestern's Acting MFA program is that it is free tuition. And on top of that, they offer free healthcare. And on top of that, they offer a very, very generous stipend. There was no competition of the amount that they were offering compared to other schools that I was researching or applied to or got offers from. So I'm happy to report this is absolutely 100% still true. And actually, it got even better this year. What I have from last year is when I entered the school, in the offer letter, they stated I would be getting paid $3,080 a month, which totals to $36,960 a year, which is taxable income. So, a few $100s gets taken out every month for taxes. But I still, to this day, don't think there are any acting MFA programs in the US, if not the world, that pays this competitive of a stipend for acting students to go to school and get an education. My entire cohort, most of us live alone, and most of us don't. I think everybody except for two people don't have an additional job to help them survive in the city. This was already a competitive wage. But the crazy thing is this actually increased this year because it's been in the works for a really long time, but the Northwestern University Graduate Workers Union, NUGW, actually officially formed this year, and they fought really hard for not just the acting MFA, but the PhD and master's students all across the university to get higher living wages. They actually reached a great agreement with the school, so this amount actually increased by nearly $700, so it comes to $3,750 a month, which totals to $45,000 a year. What the hell? I mean, it's like a once in a lifetime opportunity to be getting an education not only for free, but also being paid a living wage so that I don't have to be distracted or worried about anything else except learning and making myself a more competitive artist for 2 whole full years. That's actually crazy. And on top of that, the cherry on top is that health insurance was always free except for dental and vision, which you had to pay an additional fee for if you wanted that coverage. And the NUGW actually fought and won that as well. So now our entire health insurance, dental, vision is free. This is still one of the most unbelievable things that has happened to me. And yeah, I'm glad to report that it is 100% still true. Okay, next one. Also, don't look at my bangs, okay? Don't look at my bangs. Second biggest reason that I chose Northwestern is the location. They are based in Chicago, Illinois. Northwestern main campus is actually in Evanston, Illinois, which is like right on the northern border of Chicago. But most of the acting classes, the graduate acting classes, happen in downtown Chicago, like really literally smack dab in the heart of Chicago. And that was very attractive to me. Yes, happy to report, still 100% true. And this quarter, all of our classes happen downtown, but every other quarter, we've had like 1 or 2 classes or rehearsals that happen in Evanston. But excluding those, yeah, like I would say on average, 90% of our time is spent downtown. Let me get this straight. It was very, very hard for me to move from New York to Chicago. I felt like I was leaving my whole life behind and having to start my social circles and this new life from scratch. This isn't just for me, but anybody who's going to be coming from a completely different place it's a tough transition. Moving to a new city is not all rainbows and butterflies, obviously. It was very hard, and honestly, it took me like a full year to really feel like I had a place here, that I was settled here. I think I'm just starting now to feel that. So that is the reality of changing locations in order to get an education. But Chicago is amazing. The theater community here I thought it would be similar. I stupidly thought it would be similar to New York, and it is a very different scene and a very different community. And it's something that I could have read about and I could have watched videos on and I could have heard about from my friends, but I wouldn't really truly grasp the difference until I came here and witnessed it and was immersed in it myself. I think most people know that it is the second biggest theater city in the country after New York. There's so much immersion that happens on a daily and a weekly basis. There's Steppenwolf, there's Goodman, there's all the major tours go through Chicago, and often we get comp tickets to that. For Steppenwolf shows especially, a lot of our faculty members are either ensemble members or directors at Steppenwolf. So we get final dress rehearsal invitations to every show that goes on in Steppenwolf. So yeah, first of all, just that alone is amazing. And yeah, I think I knew this before I moved here. I've heard about this, but I think it's kind of like a trial city before things go to Broadway. So while I've been living here for the past year, Illinois, this Sufjan Stevens musical has been here and then went to Broadway. The Betty Boop musical was here first and then it went to Broadway. Death Becomes Her was here and then it went to Broadway. The world premiere of Purpose by Brandon Jacob Jenkins happened at Steppenwolf, and we were invited to go see the final dress rehearsal of that. And the Lord of the Rings musical, I mean, there's just so many amazing things that happen in the city that we have. It almost feels like we have early access to it before it becomes really, really big when it starts touring or goes to New York. And also the location, I think I heard that Anna Shapiro, when she and a bunch of people were forming this acting MFA program at Northwestern for the first time in 2019, like I said, it's a very, very new program. Anna was very adamant about having us be based in Chicago and having access to all these connections around us. And I think that objective is really intertwined into the syllabus that they have designed for us. I've never been to a school like this where they really, like, I can really tell that they connect us to the industry people that are currently working around us. So for example, the casting director of Steppenwolf has come to do an Industry Insights, it's like basically a seminar where a guest comes in for a day or 2 days across 2 weeks, and it happens every Friday, and they, it's like a one-off class to get to introduce them. And you know what this is. If you've been to theater school, you know what I'm talking about. But during those industry insights, we've had this casting director of Stipend come and watch us do monologues. We've had meetings already with one major, if not the biggest agency in Chicago. The casting director of the Goodman Theater, she gave us like actual auditions sides that she's worked on before, and she had us come with them prepared and do these audition, like a mock audition in front of her, and gave us feedback. The artistic director of Congo Square came to do a devising workshop with us, and she actually ended up directing one of the summer productions for our acting cohort. And the artistic director of the Gift Theater came with his writing partner and gave us some valuable insight into what it's like running a storefront theater. And yes, just so many notable, I didn't say their names on purpose, by the way, because I don't know if they want to be in my YouTube video, but if you look up who they are, then it's very easily Googleable. I think Northwestern MFA is very intentional and skilled at forming these connections as kind of an introduction while we're in school, so that showcase is more like a hey, nice to see you again, and it's like another handshake instead of like first impressions. Also, the Chicago theater scene has this like really healthy middle chunk of theater that I think is super accessible to young actors like myself. Elaborating a little on that, I feel like my experience living for 6 years in New York and auditioning was very much like there's Broadway. Oh my God, if you win the lottery and you're so lucky, you get to step on a Broadway stage and be a performer. And kind of like once you're in it, and you keep working on Broadway show, and you make a living that way. Or if you're like me and you're fresh out of school, you're doing what I call basement plays, where you're working with, and this is, invaluable experience, of course, but I'm working with student playwrights who are just like me, who just came out of school, so student directors, student filmmakers, and I'm basically getting paid like lunch money to be in their projects, and we're helping each other out and we're growing. But I felt like there was a huge gap in the middle where it was either basement plays or Broadway. And sure, like there's Paper Mill Playhouse, like there's a lot of reputable regional theaters in the area, and there's off-Broadway, which still feels inaccessible. But this middle chunk, I feel, was a little sparse and still felt very inaccessible to me. But Chicago, I feel like this middle chunk is very healthy. You have Steppenwolf here, you have Goodman, you have Looking Glass, you have extremely high quality, expensive productions here. And then of course, I'm sure there are basement productions here as well, but there's like a giant community of storefront theaters here. I'll list off some of them. The Red Orchid Theater, which is the theater company that Michael Shannon created in Chicago. There's the Den Theater, the Filament Theater, Court Theater, which is on the south side. I saw an amazing, beautiful production of Antigone there. Teatro Vista, Congo Square, the Timeline Theater. Just outside of Chicago, there's the Marriott Theater, which you might have seen because they always do like these really hit big musicals. This one's in Lincolnshire. There's the Writers Theater in Glencoe. I would live there if I could. I just saw a production of Every Brilliant Thing there. There's the Northlight Theater in Skokie. And yeah, if you look these up on Instagram or Google them or watch YouTube videos of them, these are the kinds of theaters that I feel like don't really exist in New York or are very, very rare to find. They are medium size, but still high quality with amazing actors. And you can tell that, the budget isn't as big as it is in Steppenwolf, but they are like really high quality productions. And I think it feels accessible to me because I see a lot of our grads working at these theaters constantly. In New York, I was working, if I was lucky, I would book an industrial, and then the next month I would do a student play. But the big, like, juicy opportunities that I felt like really moved my career forward came if I was lucky once every 6 months, right? It is so competitive, and I don't think I knew truly how competitive New York was or what that kind of competition meant until I began to be exposed to this different type of community and way of life as an artist that exists here. And our alum, there aren't that many. Like I said, the program started 2019. I am in the 3rd cohort ever. So I think like we have less than 20 alum total. They're always working. They're always working in these mid-sized theaters or understudying at Stipend or in a play at the Goodman. I see people who are fresh out of school working all the time in these theaters I would be so lucky and happy to work at. But all that to say, all that I'm trying to say right now is, yes, it was extremely difficult to move to Chicago, so be prepared for that if that ends up happening for you. But it was life-changing to see there was a different theater way of life than what I had known in New York, which I had thought was the only way to exist as an artist. Okay, that was enough. That was really long. Thank you. Number 3. Like reason 2.5 is that the faculty are all currently working professionals in the Chicago theater scene. So they're all active, they're all like up to date. Yes, this is true. But it is a trade-off. I'm just now realizing what a trade-off it is to have faculty who are actively working and pursuing their careers while they're teaching at university. One of our professors, again, I won't say names because I don't know if they want to be mentioned in this YouTube video, but one of our faculty members is a Stipend ensemble member. One of the people that she brought in when she was away on leave was also an ensemble member of Stipend. We have a professor who was just associate director and choreographer for Great Comet at the prestigious Writers Theater that I just talked about. Yeah, one of our professors had to leave for a year because he was going to be in Water for Elephants on Broadway. And one of our professors has their own theater company. One of our movement professors is in a dance company. And it's absolutely invaluable that we not only have faculty who are updated on the current trends and the realities of the current industry, but also it's been an invaluable experience to be able to go and see my professors perform and basically show an example of what they teach in the classroom. It's really been exceptionally refreshing to have people who they actually know what they're talking about because they are out there auditioning and being in these productions, so I'm never at risk of getting outdated information, and they have like actual connections that they bring in. Like our on-camera teacher right now is somebody who one of our core faculty brought in because she worked with him before on a show in Chicago, and they already had a relationship, and she knew that he taught on camera very well and he was in Breaking Bad, he was in Better Call Saul, he was in like a bunch of his IMDb is like that long, and she knew about him and brought him in for us because she knew him from working as an actor. I'm saying so much right now. Am I making sense, guys? And here's the trade-off that I am just now starting to feel is that because they are working, we don't get to see them as consistently as we might if they were like career teachers, if they were like career professors who were virtually retired from acting and were solely focused on educating. I am basing this on my own experience, right? I went to Circle in the Square Theater School in New York, which was a 2-year conservatory. Love them, still very near and dear to my heart. I'm very loyal to them, and they built this foundation of acting for me that is very much like at my core. So at that school, a lot of the teachers their primary focus was the school. So we had this magical thing happen where over the 2 years, we saw them every semester. So I had one scene study teacher for 2 years. I had one musical theater performance teacher for 2 years. I had one acting technique teacher for 2 years. They really tracked my progress, and they knew a lot about me outside of being an actor. They knew about how I had just moved from Korea. They knew about how I had this whole life as a designer before I became an actor at 25. They knew where my family lived. It seems like it's just details that might not matter in the classroom, but because they knew so much about me, I felt very, very seen and known at the school. And I don't know, I developed a relationship with these teachers that was like very tight and very tight, guys. But you know what I mean? There was a deeper level of trust and love, I think, that I developed. And I think that's part of the reason why, even after I've been out of that school for 5 years, I still do their Instagram and I still run their TikTok, and I feel very, very loyal to it, and it feels like a big part of my artist identity. And the trade-off is that at Northwestern, as far as, consistency and developing relationships with them and feeling seen and feeling really known as a human, that's the trade-off for having teachers who are actively working. Something that might not matter to a lot of people, but I think it was something that I really had to adjust to. I just wanted to put that out there, that it's, of course, like with everything, something's not just going to be completely good and completely bad. That is the trade-off. Okay. We're moving slow, sorry. Number 3 is the program is 2 years as opposed to 3 or even 4 years at other MFA programs. Yes, absolutely. It's still 2 years. And I still love that it's 2 years. It is still, for me, the perfect amount of time that I need to get what I need from out of a program. And also, so technically it is 2 years, but if you really look at the amount of time we're at school, it might be very similar to a 3-year program, specifically because we do not really get the summers off completely. We're also on a quarter system, not a semester system. Can I draw it? Maybe I can draw it and make this easier. Okay. So this is Northwestern. We're a 2-year program that's on a quarter system, right? So we have, each quarter is 10 weeks. So we have 5 courses for 10 weeks, 5 courses for the next 10 weeks, and 5 courses for the final 10 weeks, and that's 1 school year. If I were at another school that was 3 years total, which is most acting MFA programs, and if I was on a semester system, I would have 5 courses for 15 weeks and then 5 courses for 15 weeks. So I'm saying that at the end of the year, I've taken 15 courses, and at the end of that year, I've taken 10. But this is 3 years, so that's 10 times 3, 30, 2 years, 15 times 2, 30. So ultimately, I'm really generalizing here, but I'm saying the number of classes and number of like different techniques you'd be able to sample is going to be equal or similar. You get the gist. And on top of that, we don't have our summers off, though I think this is changing this year. I don't know if we're going to continue to do summer productions. I've heard that I think they're trying to pivot it to a winter production and have classes over the summer. Anyway, that's for the future students to figure out. But yeah, what I've experienced is I've had those classes, these classes, and then I have a summer production. So it really feels like a 3-year program is condensed into a 2-year program instead of me missing out because I'm not in school for a 3rd year. Yeah. Number 4. Okay, number 4, the faculty was diverse, and I knew that I needed that as somebody who is a person of color. Absolutely. The faculty is diverse on the website, and the actual faculty that I learned from is diverse as hell. I don't know if there's any other program in the US that has such a diverse faculty. And what that means for an artist of color like myself is that there's just a different level of comfort that I have in every room. There is never a room where I walk into where I am the only person of color or in the minority. I would say like most of the rooms I'm in, there are more people of color than there are white people. You know what I mean when I say there's a different level of comfort when I go into the room and I'm like, okay, I don't have to like over explain my culture and heritage here. I can breathe a little and people will understand me without me having to, or understand me, be sensitive to things without me having to work so hard. It's written into the mission statement. Let me see if I can actually find it because I think it's really cool that when they were creating this program, oh wow, look, I was lucky. When they were creating this program initially, this was like a big objective for them. Graduate program goals and mission statement. Intentionally located in downtown Chicago, the MFA program at Northwestern is committed to reflecting and embracing our vibrant and complex city. Launched in 2019, the MFA in Acting at Northwestern was envisioned, built, and remains an actively anti-racist program for the joyful and rigorous investigation of both the personalized practice and the artist's role in society. So it's baked in here. There's also a anti-racist learning culture statement. Oh gosh, it's probably blurry. Yeah, I mean, it could have just been words written on a page, but they really live up to this. And not just the core faculty that we encounter the most on a daily basis, but the people that the artists that they invite into seminars, the shows that the Words Center produces, which is the theater that's attached to our school, our theater schools. But the shows that they even choose to produce, they're really reflective, like they say, of the colorful and diverse world that we live in. This was true, still true. I really appreciate it. I mention it to the faculty all the time. Sometimes I'm just in a room and I look around and I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys, I just love how diverse it is in this room. So yeah, like big 5 thumbs up, 5 stars to this reason. Yeah. Okay, next one. This video is probably gonna be like 2 hours long. Sorry. Reason number 3, I think, is that Northwestern has singing classes and dancing classes. I'm a very confident actor. I am not a confident singer. Okay, this is the first one that's false. They misled me because on the website, it looked like we had singing and dancing classes every quarter. I think they've since updated it to reflect what it's actually like. We do have singing and dancing classes this year as second years. Of course, this is subject to change whenever you're in school, but we have one singing class now. We are promised that there will be dancing classes in the future, but I think they're like either we have 1 quarter or 2 quarters, which of course is different from what I was thinking, which is the whole 2 years. But we've had voice classes and movement classes every quarter, which is not singing and dancing, but they do train your instrument. And this is very important information that not a lot of people will know, but it is a very strong movement program. Not a very strong dance program, but a very strong movement program. We had the first quarter where we were studying, like sampling all these different movement techniques, somatic techniques. So we were introduced to Laban, Bartiniev, Grotowski. We learned about like fascia and myofascial facial release. We were sampling all these movement techniques that we could potentially use in our acting work. And it was very much like, this is not dance. This is about moving authentically. You are a human with a body and you are capable of creating meaningful physical art. And that was basically the basis, the foundation that all the other movement classes were built on. Since I'm quoting his like terminology, I'll say this was a class taught by Professor Jeffrey Hancock. The second quarter, we had Roger Ellis, who it really felt like he merged the different types of artists that we could be, instead of confining ourselves to, we are actors, I am here to act, I am here to say my lines on stage. He was very much like, he incorporated like fine art into it, and what it means to have, like, artists have sketchbooks and they practice on a daily basis. What do actors have? What can we create that is the equivalent of that? And then the third quarter, we had Tommy DeFrance, and he was very much about, okay, pick a scene from a Pinter play or a Susan Lloyd Parks play, choose a scene, choose a partner, and then learn how to create the scene without words. It was very like, it felt like an application class. And then we also learned how to tango, like the basics of tango, what it means to be in your sensuality, instead of like shying away from it. I'm throwing a lot at you, but I'm very interested in dance, but not so, I never really thought of like movement as being focal in my artistic practice, and it really opened some new channels up for me that I would have never known if I hadn't come to this school and had these classes in this very specific order. So all in all, no singing classes until this quarter, and no dancing classes thus far, though we are promised some in the future, but very strong voice and very strong movement classes. Okay, reason number 4 I chose Northwestern was the prestige of the school. Everybody knows Northwestern. It's a very good school. Their BA, Bachelor of Arts theater program has been around for decades and has a very good reputation. They produce really strong actors. So yeah, they're established and people. So yes, I do feel like we benefit as acting MFA students. We benefit from the reputation that the bachelor's program has been setting for decades since they've existed. Yeah, the name value of the school, we had, I won't name the agency, but one of the biggest, if not the biggest, theater commercial everything agency in Chicago. They reached out to one of our professors first and asked if they could meet with us before, this was even before second year started. This was like while we were in first year, before we had really shown anything of ourselves to the world. They reached out to one of our professors and were like, hey, can we invite them to come to our agency? We want to just give them an orientation about how agencies work and start building a relationship with them. And I don't think that would have happened if this was not Northwestern, you know? The name value of the school is very high. It's very reputable. There's a Northwestern grad. What's that saying? There's a Northwestern grad at any given time on Broadway. Because yeah, those undergrad kids are like always working, and it's like what did somebody call it? Like a Broadway feeder school. And because of that, it bleeds into the acting MFA too. And I think also because it's such a new program, they're curious about who we are. So yeah, the agent was one example, but I think just looking at the people who come to us for seminar, who are invited and willing to speak with us and are excited to meet us, I feel like I'm really benefiting from the name of the school, the reputation of the school. So I would say, yeah, that's still true as well. Okay, next. And the next reason is that I just liked the vibes of Northwestern. And that sounds silly, but it really matters how you feel towards a school. Your gut is not wrong. I can't say if this is true or false. I don't think that applies, but it is, the gut feeling that I initially had has been true, has been proven true. And I stand by what I said. I think it really matters how you interact with the faculty when you first meet them for auditions, whether you have a good feeling about them, whether this relationship feels like it's going to blossom into something. When I first met the two faculty members who came for Erda's auditions in New York, I was like, oh, they're very warm, and they were very soft-spoken, gentle, humorous. Yeah, I had a good feeling about them. And then I came to school and we were like talking about, you know, with my fellow cohort members, we were talking about what the audition process was like and what our first impressions were. And that feeling was shared amongst a lot of my friends too. They were like, yeah, the way that they just greeted me, the way that The interview went, it just felt like kind of natural. If you have the chance to either talk to alum of the program, or if you, like me, really wanted to make sure and ask them if you can audit some classes before you accept the final offer, I think that's also very valuable in figuring this out for yourself if it feels like a good fit for you. I mean, mainly because I was so hesitant to move out of New York and leave my whole life behind. I really needed to make sure that this program was right for me, and took like every step that I could in order to be confident in my decision. So yeah, that's my tip for if you need to figure out this gut feeling thing, then yeah, do what you can to make sure. Yeah, and I guess that's my 7.5 reasons why I chose Northwestern. In conclusion, most of them were true, except for the singing and dancing classes. But I'm really happy that the realities of the program have been meeting my expectations. Another side note, to give you a little insight into the program, it's a cohort of 12 people for 2 years. They don't recruit every year. They recruit 12 every 2 years. I think they changed that with our cohort. We really get the faculty's like full attention for the whole 2 years, as fragmented as it is, like I said, because everybody's working all the time, so we don't get people consistently, but we are their main focus for 2 years in the way that they can. And I think I look at my cohort members, and they picked, like, I don't know how they picked such a gentle group of people. They pick people who have good hearts and really want to help each other out. My peers are so skilled at uplifting me and keeping me afloat, as I am to them as well. I think we're very vocal in our support and love for each other and our respect. It's just very peaceful, guys. Like, we really just don't have a whole lot of drama in our cohort, and I think that's quite rare. You can really focus on just getting your education. If you are looking into acting MFA programs, especially if you are a person of color, an artist of color, highly recommend it. There's a different level of acceptance and like a welcoming that I feel here, that although I haven't been to other grad programs, I'm sure that this is very rare. I'm very confident that this is very rare. I think that's all I have to say for now. I'm sure I will have more insight once I'm done with my second year, which I'm currently in right now. And I'm so sorry that I really haven't been responding to individual emails. Believe me, I want to, but they are piling up, and I'm a perfectionist, my fault. So I'm kind of like, if I can't give them a great elaborate response, then I just won't. And instead I'll make a video answering all the questions instead. So that's the objective of this video. Sorry if you emailed me and you never heard back. I do read them, but sorry. But also, I'm in school, so please forgive me. Good luck on your acting MFA journeys, and see you next time, guys. Bye!